problem 2 in Connect is exercise 9.8 in your text, and it gives us these balance sheet accounts for Shankland Corporation. And it says, given these, using this information, compute those ratios. Now, I'm assuming that before you sat down to do the homework, you scurried off to your textbook or to the PowerPoints or to Dr. Google to come up with the formulas for working capital, current ratio, debt to assets ratio, and debt to equity ratio. So after you visited Dr. Google, and she told you these are the formulas. So we now know what the formulas are. Let's do something with them. The current ratio, or the working capital, it's the first one they ask us, are the current assets minus the current liabilities. Well, we'll highlight those in orange. Current assets, 600. Current liabilities, 400. Even if you went to Philadelphia Public Schools, you're good with that one. They used to call that a takeaway problem. 600,000, takeaway 400,000, 200,000. But the important part about that is not the number, it's what the number means. The number itself is just a number. Age is a number. Any number can win or lose. 200,000 says we have $200,000 of capital that we can use to take advantage of opportunities for expansion. It says that we're not right backed up against the wall. If our current liabilities were equal our current assets, we wouldn't have any flexibility. We would have no ability to take advantage of opportunity that may present itself. That's an important number. The next number takes those same two numbers, the current assets and the current liabilities, but instead it divides them. It takes the current assets divided by the current liabilities, and you come up with a ratio of 1.5 to 1. And the way you read that, again, the ratio doesn't mean anything until you put it in context. This says for every dollar in bills that comes through the front door, current liabilities, dollar in bills. For every dollar that comes through the front door, we have $1.50 to pay that bill. That could be good, it could be bad, I really don't know. There is no hard and fast, this number is good. You always want that number more than 1. Less than 1 means you don't have enough money to pay your bills as they become due. But if it's too high, say that was 20 to 1, maybe you could be using your current assets better. Maybe you should have some investments. Maybe you should expand your operations. So both of these are numbers that let you know how much freedom you have to take a look at other opportunities, how close you're living to the edge, so to speak. Now, the next one is the debt to assets ratio, and that's the total liabilities. Total liabilities divided by total assets. So our total assets are in blue. Our total liabilities are in blue. So we're going to look at those two numbers. We're going to divide them again. And once again, we're going to talk about what the number means, not just how to get the number. Because quite frankly, how to get the number is pretty much useless. Anybody who has access to a computer and Dr. Google can come up with the ratios, and if you're even halfway competent with a calculator, you can do the pretty simple math. But what does that 64% tell you? That's the important thing. What does that mean? Well, it means that 64% of our assets are owned by somebody else. We owe for 64% of our assets. Put another way, we own 36% of our assets, because 36 and 64 is 100%. Now, again, is that a good number or a bad number? I have no idea. It's a number you can compare to your competitors, because all of these numbers are from financial statements. They're all public documents. You can either get them through the shareholder equity section of their website, or request their annual report, or go on to the sec.gov and look at their 10K. So these numbers are available for every publicly traded company in the world. You can go look at those numbers. And if your competitors have an 80%, I'm making the number up, debt to assets ratio, and you have 64%, looks pretty good. Maybe you could take on more debt. Maybe you could expand. Maybe you're fat and happy just where you are. No one number, no one ratio, no one statistic will tell you anything. There's a great, I think it's Turkish or Iranian proverb that says when a wise man is shopping for intelligence, it's Persian, it's a Persian proverb, so it's from Iran. When a wise man is shopping for information, he stops at every tent in the bazaar. That's what you need to do when you're looking at these ratios for your company, or for a company you're thinking about going to work for. Because remember, you are not going looking for jobs. You are looking for careers. You want to know what the company is doing and how the company is doing. It makes no sense to leave one job for another job for a company that's going out of business. And the last thing we want to take a look at is our debt to equity. And debt to equity looks at our total liabilities, and it looks at our total stockholder equity. So we'll use pink for that. So our total liabilities is $16,000, and our total stockholders' equity, which is common stock and retained earnings, that's the definition, is $900,000. And you may have had to look up that number, and that's okay. You're not financial folks, but you know where to get it, and you know how to get it, and now that you have it, you can say, okay, we have 16,000 or 1,600,000 in liabilities. We have 1,600,000 in total liabilities. We have 900,000 in total shareholder equity. When we divide that, we come up with a ratio, 1.8 to 1. That says that for every dollar in liabilities, For every dollar in liabilities, we have $1.80 in equity. Again, that makes us a fairly stable company. That means we may be a company that's going to be around a while. That's a good sign, because we have $1,600,000 in liabilities. Okay, we have $900,000 in equity. So we're leveraging our liabilities pretty well, because we have almost twice as many liabilities as we have equity. That means we're good credit risk. That means people like us. That means people have faith in our business. They project that we're going to do well. They're willing to extend us credit. As a matter of fact, almost twice as much of our total assets is liabilities as opposed to equities. Because remember, liabilities plus equity equals total assets. That's the accounting equation that you've been fussing with for years, for this year. Assets plus liabilities equal equity. So we're looking at this, and in this particular case, our liabilities are 1.8 and our equity is 1. Now you really can't add those together. That doesn't work. But I want you to see that that's a measure of how the company is doing and how the market perceives us, that they're willing to grant us credit, give us liabilities far in excess of our total investment.